Miami versus SMU. Miami is leaving the state of Florida for the first time in nearly a year, and Vegas is giving them 10.5 over a SMU team that is really well coached. Rhett Lashlee was the former offensive coordinator for Miami a few years ago. He was the only good thing about the Manny Diaz era at Miami, and he is an incredible football coach. If FSU was smart, they would make Rhett Lashlee their next head coach if they end up firing Mike Norvell at the end of this year. He's a great recruiter. He's an excellent schemer. A lot of the Miami players that didn't work out at the U, they're at SMU, and Rhett Lashlee has them playing pretty good football. And if you want something that's going to make you feel old, if you're a young Hurricane fan like me, D'Eriq King is SMU's quarterback coach. Isn't that wild? 5 years ago, he was starting at Miami, and now he's Rhett Lashlee's QB coach. Tyler Van Dyke is eventually going to be a graduate assistant on SMU's coaching staff. So you have a bunch of former Miami players that not only are making an impact on the field, but they also are making an impact on SMU's coaching staff. So it's somewhat as a homecoming for a lot of these SMU players, including Rhett Lashlee. And Rhett Lashlee is going to be a hot candidate for a bunch of head coaching vacancies that are open right now. And if he's able to pull off this upset win over Miami, it's going to catapult his stock a lot higher than what it already is. In the short amount of time that he's been coaching at SMU, he's already won a conference championship game. He's been to 2 of them. They lost ACC championship last year to Clemson, and he also had SMU in the playoffs last year. Now, SMU is a long shot of getting into the CFP this year with the devastating loss that they just had last week to Wake Forest, but they still are more than alive in the ACC championship picture, which makes this game the Super Bowl for both SMU and Miami. Miami, they have to win out, and they need a little bit of help to get to the ACC championship, and you're going up against a SMU team that is very volatile. You know, some Saturdays they can play as good as any other team in the nation. And like last week, they can also have games when they don't play up to par. They don't play up to the level of talent that they have. I expect for Miami to get SMU's best effort. I expect for SMU to play their best game of the season against the U, because it seems like any team that plays up against Miami seems to always play their best football. The key to deciding who wins this game is going to be the quarterback battle. You got Kevin Jennings versus Carson Beck. Both of these guys have tendencies to be turnover machines. And Carson Beck, especially when he starts the game out hot, he ends up being really good. But when he starts the game out slow and Miami isn't able to lean on a run game, and you force him to have to put the ball in the air a lot more than what Shannon Dawson would like, that's when you run into some problems. Same thing with Kevin Jennings. Kevin Jennings' issue, unlike Carson Beck, is he tries to do too much. You know, sometimes he'll hold on to the football a lot longer than what he should. He'll get a bit loosey-goosey with his ball security. SMU is a drop-back passing team. They want to throw the football all over the field. They do have the ability to run the football, but against this Miami defensive line, I expect this to be a game that SMU is going to have to put the ball in the air a lot to be able to win. Miami, with the advantage that they have on the line of scrimmage, their offensive line versus SMU's defensive line, that's a very favorable matchup that they should be able to take advantage of. Not only do they have a lot more size than SMU on the line of scrimmage, but they just have a ton of athleticism, which makes this a game that SMU is going to have to win on the perimeter. A good thing that SMU has in their favor that I feel is going to make this a close game, and why I'm going to take SMU to cover that plus 10.5, is they have the second best defense in America at forcing takeaways, and you're going up against a turnover-prone quarterback in Carson Beck. And the thing about Carson Beck is that for as good as what he can be. You know, when he's bad, he's really off. And Miami has been carried by true freshman wide receiver Malachi Tony. If SMU can find a way to shut down Malachi Tony and force Miami to have to go other places to get some offense, I think that Miami's going to struggle. And nobody has really talked about how much Malachi Tony has carried the load for this Miami offense this season. And we've yet to see a team really be able to take him away. SMU might be the first to do so. I do believe that defensively, Miami does pose a lot of issues for SMU in terms of the amount of talent that they have at the pass rusher position, the depth that they have at secondary. You need Kevin Jennings to take care of the football a lot more than Carson Beck. Miami can overcome a few Carson Beck turnovers. Now, if he implodes like how he did a few weeks against Louisville, then Miami more than likely loses this game. But if you get 1 or 2 turnovers from Carson Beck, the defense is good enough to get those stops and give Miami a little bit of break if it goes that way. SMU, on the other hand, they got to play flawless football to win this thing. Now, I do expect for this game to be high scoring. I'll be shocked if this is one of those games that Miami runs away with and it's not really close. I expect this to be like a 38-31 kind of game. Rhett Lashlee is such a good play caller that I feel he probably will get the best of Corey Heatherman. As good as what Corey Heatherman has been, he has had a few games like against Louisville when Jeff Brom was cooking with the 3 quarterback package that he had to start that game out. Rhett Lashlee probably is going to do a little bit of the same thing. He's going to come out, try to throw a lot at Miami early that they probably didn't see on film, that they weren't really prepared for, and they didn't really practice against, because that's what you have to do when you're going up against a team that has you beat on the line of scrimmage. You have to find creative ways to find different ways to generate offense. And SMU isn't really a team that runs the football all that well. You probably won't have a lot of success running the football on this Miami front. So SMU is going to have to find ways to generate offense outside of just relying on Kevin Jennings to win it with his arm. I like Miami to win. 34-31 is going to be my final score prediction in this game. I would be shocked if Miami blows out SMU. I just have so much respect and admiration for Rhett Lashlee and what he brings to the table as a head coach. He's going to have this team ready to play. He knows Miami very well. He has a lot of former Miami players, as we said earlier, on his roster. So I'm expecting a very good game, a very competitive game, and one that probably ends up going down to the wire. But I like Miami to get the dub.